Recently, a new episode titled The Ugly Truth About Swissbeatbox with star guest Spencer X was released on the Beatbox Bros podcast hosted by Madox and Beart. The description says Madox finally speaks about why he left Swissbeatbox, and Spencer X shares his own experiences with Swissbeatbox and Pepouni. The video has over 1,000 comments, many of which express shock and disappointment after hearing what was shared in the podcast. A day later, Napalm responded to that video in a live stream where he offered his perspective as an experienced GBB battler and an artist who had his album launched on Swissbeatbox. If you watched those videos, you will know that there are things that should not have been said or done. On the other hand, you will also have realized that there's more than one side to the story and that it is important to consider different perspectives so that you can get a better understanding of the whole picture. Regardless, you can tell from the comments on the Beatbox Bros podcast that we have a community who cares for each other and cares for the well-being of those who are pushing our art form. And I'm really thankful for that. I took some time before recording this video to carefully think about what was said. I've been involved in the community for several years now, and I don't know everything. And I'm still learning a lot about the beatbox industry. But in sharing what I do know, I hope that this video gives more clarity about the situation to help us understand how to build a better community. So let's start with one of the main problems highlighted in this video. Unfair compensation. Examples of these include not having much of a prize pool at GBB, artists not being paid for the millions of views they helped generate, and Madox not being paid enough when he worked at Swissbeatbox. To talk about this, we need to understand two things. Number one, how much beatbox content actually makes on YouTube, and number two, how this affects the beatbox economy. Given that we share a similar audience with Swissbeatbox and have similar content, we can get a rough figure not only of how much Swissbeatbox earns, but how much any beatbox community earns through YouTube revenue alone. Don't forget that communities like Korea Beatbox TV, American Beatbox, Beatbox Germany, Beatbox India, Beatbox Community, and Beatbox Battle World Champs also organize events and post videos with battlers in them. And that includes Beatbox International too. So in 2021, we hosted a battle called International Throwdown. How much did we earn? Well, the revenue generated per 1,000 views is influenced by your content type, where the viewers are from, how long the video is, and other factors. Some industries can earn up to $3 or $4 per 1,000 views, and some industries can even go up to 7 or 8. For our 10 to 12 minute battle videos, however, we earned on average $1.2 for every 1,000 views. Views from the whole competition came close to 1 million views, yielding about $1,118.68. After tax, the revenue generated from the event would not have been enough to cover the prize money given to the winners, which came up to about $1,100. And we haven't factored in the cost and time put into running the event, like graphic design for the event posters, live stream overlays, thumbnails, event marketing, copywriting, video production, shipping the prizes, managing the participants, conducting sound checks, creating sponsorship proposals, creating content for the sponsors, paying the judges and hosts, and so much more. So how much does beatbox content make on YouTube? For beatbox organizations, well, if they are only battle videos right now, I would say probably not enough. How does this affect the beatbox economy? Well, it means that it is extremely difficult to rely solely on YouTube revenue to finance events. Most larger official events, whether online or in person, are able to run thanks to the support of government grants, sponsors, sufficient ticket sales, and so on. Unless you're Elon Musk, financing the event out of your own pocket isn't a sustainable thing to do. Most events still happen because the organizing team is willing to sacrifice their time and resources, not for themselves, but for the community. On top of that, a large portion of beatbox fans are mostly interested in beatbox battles. Battle videos generate the most views, but even then, it's unlikely it would generate enough revenue to cover the cost, time, and resources put into organizing the event. Event organizers and their team need to make a living too. You can sacrifice a lot for what you're passionate about, but if it doesn't pay the bills, you may have no choice but to give it up. And that's unfortunately a common reality, not just within the beatbox niche, but across many industries. I'm not sure how much it costs to run GBB and how much profit is made. But I wanted to extend this conversation beyond Swissbeatbox and GBB because the beatbox world comprises of so many more competitions and communities that may run similarly but on a smaller scale. I hope that knowing all of this deepens your appreciation for those who are taking initiative to organize both online and offline events, including your online and local community leaders. It isn't easy, and it's unlikely that it's profitable. Now let's go back to the topic of unfair compensation. How should we be thinking about the prize pool, not just for GBB, but for other major events like World Champs? How should we be thinking about artists not being paid for the millions of views that they generate, not just for GBB, but for other major events as well? What do we make of not just Madox not being paid enough when he worked at Swissbeatbox, but other people who work at beatbox organizations and artists who don't end up earning enough? There's much to be said, and it's difficult to address what was talked about in the podcast specifically because there's limited information to work from, and I don't want to unfairly speculate. Still, I think it is really important to know how to respond to these issues, and I think considering the following two principles will be helpful. First of all, it is a right to be fairly compensated or rewarded based on what was agreed upon by the parties involved. And number two, it is a privilege to make a living doing what you're passionate about. If someone promises you $5,000 for winning a battle or getting 10 million views or editing videos, it is your right to receive it. If nothing was promised, then there's nothing to be said. If no one knows what was or wasn't promised, then communication needs to happen so that people can make informed decisions. If you participate in a competition or work for an organization, it is your right to be treated fairly by the organization. The last thing we want is poor treatment of staff and talent. If organizers fail to deliver, there should be transparency and accountability. On the flip side, participants and audiences should be fair to the organizers as well. There will never be a perfect event, so respond to those constructively too. It is also important to remember that it is a privilege to have competitors join your competition. They don't have to, but if they do, that's awesome. On the flip side, it is a privilege for battlers to have competitions to join in the first place. What more competitions with huge prize pools? And it is a privilege for viewers to have competitions to be excited about, just as it is a privilege for organizers to have audiences who witness the event. As an artist, it's a privilege to have a platform where you can share your music to millions of people, whether it's a platform others have built or one that you've built yourself. Fans, community organizations, and artists all play significant roles in building a healthy community that is not just trying to survive. If you want the beatbox community to thrive, consider this. Are you just a bystander, or are you a builder? And are you building something that lasts?